So welcome to today's class. So we have covered so many chapters. So if you quickly recapitulate what we have covered so far, uh, if you if you can make a list of all these things, just wait a minute. Yeah. So first of all, capital budgeting we have covered. Is it visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In capital budgeting, what we learned various techniques
Yes,
like
sir. IR and PV.
like IRR, NPV, etc., so that we can take capital budgeting decisions. Various techniques are covered
Yes, sir.
right, in capital budgeting. Then we
Yes, sir.
covered this capital structure,
Yes, sir.
is it not?
Yes, sir.
Capital structure
Yes, sir.
theories we have covered. Cost of capital also we have covered.
Yes, sir.
Cost of capital, that is
Yes,
we have covered.
yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Then after that, leverage part we covered.
Yes, sir.
Is not all this kind of leverages we have covered. Then we covered working capital management.
Dividend policy also covered.
Dividend policy.
You are right. So dividend policy also we have covered dividend policy. So in fact, all these kinds of investment decision, financing decisions, dividend decisions are covered. Then we covered this working capital management, how to calculate this operating cycle, is it not? How to estimate
Yes,
working capital, various components like current assets, for example, cash, debtors, all these things. Right? How to
yes,
compute
yes,
all
sir.
these requirements, ultimately how to compute the net working capital, gross working capital, all these things we have covered. Okay, today we'll be entering into a new area which is we are calling it as the treasury management. Okay, this new area we'll be entering. So I'll be going for screen sharing right now, and this area will be very relevant for you. I am going for screen sharing right now. Yeah, just wait a minute and let me know if it is visible. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So as you can see in the picture, this particular area, treasury management, involves all these things: cash management, inventory management, all these things. Global funding, like inflow and outflow of foreign exchange, investments, that capital budgeting decisions, right? Balance sheet management and hedging, that is protection against fluctuations, all these aspects. And it also deals with intraday management, that is very short term planning, then short term planning, medium term planning, long term planning. All these things are involved in this area. Okay. This area is called as the treasury management. Now, coming to meaning, what is the meaning of treasury management? This means the corporate handling of all financial matters. So every kind of financial matters are dealt under this subject, treasury management. Generation of external and internal funds for the business. We know in business we need to generate external funds as well as internal funds. External
Yes,
funds
sir.
means maybe issue of new equities,
Debenture.
yeah, maybe debts, debentures. Internal fund means
Owner's equity.
members equity, reserves, all these things. Okay, and management of currencies, that is also a part of treasury management. Some businesses they deal with foreign exchanges, they import and export. So foreign exchanges involves a kind of fluctuations. So their value keeps on changing on daily basis. Okay, so that
Yes,
management, how to deal with that foreign exchange fluctuations, etc. And also it involves complex strategies, policies, and procedures for corporate finance. All these policies, strategies needs to be formed under this broad heading of treasury management. Everything falls under the scope of treasury management. Okay, and it deals with working capital management. When you talk about working capital management, there are various components of working capital itself. Is it not? Can you name some of the components of working capital?
Current asset and current liabilities.
Current assets. Give me some examples of current assets.
Receivable, cash.
Yeah. So that means naturally this particular thing, treasury management will be learning about the cash management, receivable management, all this kind of thing, data management, everything will be learning.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And financial risk management. Financial risk, here we talk about in our initial classes, we have studied something about the risk. And our understanding means risk means fluctuations in the return. How these
Yes, sir.
fluctuations can be protected through some hedging or through other kind of mechanism. That aspects are also dealt with in this subject treasury management. Got some brief idea about what is this subject?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Having
sir.
understood this, now we'll be learning what are the key goals of this subject treasury management. We can say there are four kinds of goals. These are the key goals. There might be some incidental goals also. First is what is the number one? Can you read it?
Maximize the return on available cash.
Okay. Whatever cash is available with us, we would definitely like to maximize return out of this. That means cash should be
Yes,
used in the most profitable manner so that returns can be maximized.
yes, sir.
Then point two is minimization of the interest cost. Businesses use funds, right? They use capital to do all this kind of operational activities. And when you talk about the capital, capital has got a cost. We have studied this in our chapter, cost of capital. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
Capital has got
Yes,
a
sir.
cost. Debt has got interest cost, and equity has got an element of cost of equity. So one more objective or one more goal is to minimize the interest cost.
Yes, sir.
Third goal is that mobilize as much cash as possible for corporate ventures. That means if some money needs to be invested in some kind of ventures, so we should be able to mobilize cash for that. Cash should be made available for those kind of ventures. If those ventures are profitable, that means by applying all these capital budgeting techniques, we have found these ventures are feasible, these ventures are desirable. Then the organization should mobilize fund for that. Okay, because they're acceptable projects. So money should be spent for that. Then also one more goal is effective dealing in forex, money and commodity markets to reduce risk. So in these markets, when uh, a particular business house deals with this kind of market, the value of all these things, the prices fluctuates. So through effective dealing, these fluctuations or the risk related to the fluctuations can be minimized. So these aspects has to be also dealt in treasury management. So you can say these are
Yes, sir.
the key goals of treasury. Okay, is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we will be learning what are the functions of treasury management. We can classify these functions into these five categories. You can say treasury management functions, right? So under this, we'll be dealing with first of all cash management, then currency management, third one is funding management, fourth one is banking management, and the fifth one is corporate finance. Entire thing, everything is covered under the umbrella of treasury management. Okay. Today our intention will be to cover this cash management portion. Then all other items also will be covering briefly. Right. First coming to cash management. When you talk about the cash management, under this management, what are the things needs to be dealt with? It deals with efficient cash collection process. Cash has to be collected from various sources. Okay, can you
Yes,
tell me
sir.
some examples through which cash is collected? Cash comes from which sources?
From bank debt by bank loan or owner's equity.
Okay, maybe there the
Public.
sources you can get some capital, but you see through sales you also get sales and you get cash collection. Is it not? From
Yes, sir.
collection of debtors you get cash collection, and of course as you said from bank loan you will be also getting cash. These are also some of the sources. So this efficient collection process should be ensured under the cash management. The cash manager ensures that cash collection process is efficient. Payments are managed properly. When payments are due, that has been properly paid in time and it is spread in such a way that Uh, there is no undue pressure on the business house. And cash management also deals with advising on policy matters. How much cash is to keep, that advice also comes under this cash management. Managing surplus fund, that is also one more activity under cash management. So cash management broadly deals with all these things. Efficient, ensuring efficient cash collection process, managing cash payments, advising on policy matters, and managing surplus fund, right? And
Yes, sir.
similarly, coming to currency management, that involves first of all managing forex exposures, foreign currency exposure. Foreign currency exposure means the moment you deal with a foreign currency, you are exposed to a kind of risk because
Yes, sir.
the value fluctuates. Suppose you have to pay something in foreign currency, you don't know that in on day when finally you will be making the payment, what will the value of that foreign currency? Okay, today let us the value of that currency is 80 rupees. Maybe on the day will payment will materialize, that might be 82 rupees. Like this, there will be some kind of fluctuation. So managing this kind of exposure, this risk exposure is one part of foreign currency management. Then intra-group settlement. If some money is receivable, some forex is receivable from a group company and something is payable to the group company, how they can be internally settled. If they can be within the group, intra-group, that can be settled. Then there will be saving in transaction cost and risk exposure also can be minimized. So that aspect is also dealt under currency management. The use of matching receipts and payments. So if payments and receipts can be matched, then exposure can be reduced. Risk can be reduced. Right? Suppose you have to receive $1,000. If you can match it with a equal payment of $1,000, the receipt and payment will be automatically matched. So you are not affected by foreign currency fluctuations. Are you getting this point? So whatever might be the foreign currency price, you are not affected because you will be receiving foreign currency and it has got a matching payment. You will be receiving in one hand and paying in another hand. So consequently, you will be not facing the consequences of the fluctuation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is called
Yes, sir.
foreign currency management. Then managing net exposure. Suppose to some extent, receipt and payments are matched and to some extent it is not matched. For example, suppose you have to receive $1,000, but you have to pay $1,500. Okay, $1,000 you have to receive and $1,500 you have to pay. So receipt and dollar can be matched with to the extent of 1,000. Now extra 500 rupees you have to pay. That is your net exposure. So 1,000 rupees, $1,000 you receive and $1,000 you pay. So exposure is nil. You are receiving in
Yes, sir.
dollars and paying in dollars. But the extra one $500 you are going to pay, that is called as the net exposure. How to manage that net exposure? Net exposure involves some kind of risk because that will be subject to fluctuations. So that aspect is also dealt with currency management. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now funding management. This deals with planning and sourcing of short-term, medium-term, and long-term cash needs. So all these kinds of funding arrangements, funding needs are dealt under funding management. Participation in decision on capital structure. What kind of capital structure the business house should have so that return can be maximized. So that capital structure decision is also a part of fund management decision. Then coming to banking management, it deals with maintaining good relationship with banker. Banker has to be kept in good terms, right? And also it deals with negotiating with the banker regarding the terms and conditions, regarding interest rate, all these things. So that comes under banking management. And coming to the area of corporate finance, it deals with acquisition and disinvestment activities. If
Yes, sir.
the business house wants to acquire some other businesses or to disinvest some other activities, that comes under corporate finance management. And investors relationship management, that is also one more area under corporate finance. Monitoring share price performance, where the share price is showing the real value or not, whether that is going upward, the that has to be ensured by the corporate finance department. They have to ensure that value is maximized, the share prices are actually maximized. So this is the scope, or these are the function of entire treasury management. I think you have understood up to this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, first aspect or the first function is that cash management. First, we'll be addressing that part, cash management. We'll be seeing what are the concerns of the cash manager first of all. Okay, cash management is concerned with these three things. What is the first one? Can you read it?
Cash flows
Cash flow
into and
into
out.
and out of the farm.
Cash flow into the firm and out of the firm. That means managing cash inflows and outflows. How we were able
Yes.
to manage cash inflows and outflows, that activities. Cash manager is concerned with that. If there is a cash outflow, he has to ensure that cash inflow is matched. Suitable cash inflow is there so that the outflow obligations can be dealt with. So that is one of the concern. That is the major concern. What is the second concern?
Cash flows within the farm.
Within the farm, cash may be available. Maybe one branch cash is available, another branch cash is not there. So that has to be managed through inter-branch transfer. That has to be managed. Or one department is rich with cash, another department there is shortage in cash on a particular day. How that aspect has to be managed. That is the cash flow within the farm. Okay. Third part,
Yes, sir.
third concern.
Cash balances held by the at a point of a time by financing deficit or investing surplus cash.
Okay. This in fact deals with cash balances held by the farm at a particular time by financing deficit or investing surplus cash. So here the concern is how much cash balance is to be held. If there is an excess, that should be invested. The surplus cash has to be invested. So once we know this is the balance we should hold, if excess money is there, that should be invested. And in case there is a deficit, then some arrangements has to be made to finance that deficit. That deficit needs to be financed. That is the concern of the. These are the three concerns of the cash management. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let us learn about objectives of management of the cash. So again, objectives are threefold. Provide adequate cash to each unit. So in working capital management, we have understood that it is essential to maintain adequate current asset so that the flow of operation is not getting affected. Right. So one of the objective is to ensure that adequate cash is there, adequate cash is available at each unit so that they can run smoothly their functions. The no fund is blocked in idle cash, and you also know cash being a highly liquid asset, highly current asset. As such, it
Yes, sir.
doesn't give any return. Only when it is invested, it will be able to generate some kind of return. So if that cash is kept idle, so it has got a cost, is it not? So
Yes, sir.
always attempts should be made to minimize that cost. There should not be any idle. Third objective is that surplus cash is to be invested in order to maximize the return of the business. If at all there is some surplus cash, that needs to be invested quickly so that it can generate some return and the business's return can be maximized. Okay, understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, having understood this, now we are going to learn what is the need for having cash. We call it as the need for having cash, need for cash, or we can call it as the motive behind cash. Why we are keeping cash? There can be three kinds of motives or three needs. One is we call it as the transaction need
Transaction made.
or transaction motive also I can call. Speculative need or speculative motive. Third one is precautionary need or contingency motive. Okay, so these are the three motives for which cash is needed. First, coming to the first kind of need. First kind of need is, can you read it?
Transaction need.
Transaction need.
Transaction need. You see, every business organization needs cash. Every day they have some inflow and outflow needs, right? They have to spend money. They will be receiving some money also. So to meet that needs, they need some kind of cash. Okay, like also you and I, whenever we go out, we keep some cash in our pocket because we need there is some kind of transaction need, some money. We may get some money, we have to spend some money also. To satisfy that cash inflow and cash outflow needs, cash balance is maintained. To meet the day-to-day expenses and other payments, this cash balance is maintained. Inflows of cash for regular operations should be sufficient for that purpose. If there is a regular need, there is a transactional need, there should be sufficient inflow on daily basis also. Okay, for example, let us say one business house is there. Every day it has to pay wages of 5,000. Then it has to ensure that every day there is an inflow of 5,000 also. When there is a, that is what we call it as the matching inflows with the outflow. Because we know transaction need is that 5,000 rupees outflow is there. Every day we have to pay 5,000 rupees cash. Then we have to ensure a kind of inflow for the equivalent. Right? In case for some reason inflow is temporarily blocked, some reason particular date inflow is not there, then there should be some kind of reserve cash which can be used for this purpose. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, normally inflow should be sufficient to match with outflow if it is a transactional motive. If there is a
Yes, sir.
transactional need. Understood this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Now
sir.
coming to next motive is, can you read it out? What is the next motive?
Speculative need.
Speculative need.
Speculative motive. That means to take advantages of some profitable opportunity that may arise at any point of time. We need some cash. For example, let us say you are going to your institute. Okay, with some cash in your pocket. That is your transactional rate. Let us say you have to spend around maybe around 30 rupees daily as your expenditure, as your traveling expense. But sometimes we keep some extra money with us. So we, instead of 30 rupees, we might be having 500 rupees in our pocket with some speculative intention, with some speculative motive. Because in case I get some opportunity, suppose on the way you found a very interesting book, okay, very useful book, which normal cost is 500, but today some discount at some discounted price it is available at 200 rupees. So this is an unique opportunity. Only
Yes, sir.
when you are having that cash, then you can take advantages of this opportunity. Okay. So this
Yes, sir.
particular need, this particular motive is called as a speculative need. So some
Yes,
cash
sir.
balance is maintained to meet this speculative motive. Okay. Through this kind of cash balance, we create an ability to take advantages of special opportunities. So special opportunities may come. There is no guarantee that every time it will be coming. But in case it comes, only when you are having some cash for that purpose, then you can take advantages of this special opportunity. That is called as speculative need. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Third need or the third motive is precautionary need or contingency motive. So this we keep some kind of cash balance or business houses keep some kind of cash balance for providing safety against unexpected events. If something will go wrong, then you should have some extra cash. Suppose normally you travel by bus, right? Let us say bus ticket costs you 10 rupees, but still you keep 100 rupees in your pocket because you feel that in case you fail the bus, you should have some money to go by auto or
Yes, sir.
by to go by taxi. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
For safety purpose, for as a precautionary need or as a contingency motive, we keep some cash that is called as the precautionary need. Okay, this means holding cash as a precaution. It serves as an emergency fund, right? And when the expected cash flows are not received, this cash can be used. This cash can be used for regular purposes. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is over. Need for cash. You have understood all these three kinds of motives.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, now you have understood. Keeping in mind all these three kinds of needs, then we have to decide what is the level of cash holding, right? How much cash one should ideally keep, and it depends on lot of things. Two major things which affect our cash holding level is that first one is nature of business, and what is the second one? Can you read it?
Extend and reach a
Extent and
business.
reach of the business.
Extent and reach of business. So these are the two major factors. Other factors are also there. Our cash level depends on first of all nature of business. So there are some businesses, in that kind of business involves this business activity involves cash purchases. If you want to do that kind of business, you have to purchase something in cash from number of
Yes, sir.
persons. That means to manage that kind of business, you need some cash. Some cash needs to be maintained. There are some other kind of businesses where normally they do credit purchase. So one kind of business is doing cash purchase, other kind of business is doing credit purchase. So naturally, the business where cash purchase has to be made, that requires more cash balance. His cash
Yes, sir.
holding level will be higher, is it not?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
is it not? Some businesses you see they have some peak and non-peak periods. Some peak time they need more cash, non-peak time they need less cash. So it depends. It all depends upon the nature of business. Second part is the extent and reach of the business. Suppose a multi-locational farm having a large number of branches in different places, it will be needing more cash because it
Yes,
has to
sir.
handle various kinds of activities at different places. If you compare it with another farm with single location that can manage its business with less cash. So it depends upon the extent or size or reach of the business. That what should be the ideal level of cash flow. Right? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is about level of cash flow. Now, how to manage cash? There are various strategies. So, four strategies we will be learning. One is cash planning. Second is managing the cash flow. Third one is optimum cash level. Fourth one is investing surplus cash. Coming to first part, when you talk about the cash planning, it deals with the pattern of the cash inflows. That means we have to plan for the cash. We need to predict the inflows in advance. Suppose this is the month. In this month, we are talking about what will the next month cash inflows, what is the next month's cash outflows. We should be able to predict, and accordingly, we can prepare a cash budget. So we should be able to know. So today, what is my cash balance? Let us say in the coming week, how much cash I will be receiving and how much cash I will be paying, and what will be the closing balance at the week end. The next week again, offering will be started with that balance. Then how much will be the inflow, how much will be outflow. All these things maybe on a weekly basis, maybe on a monthly basis, maybe on a quarterly basis. I can plan it to a cash budget. That will be called as the cash planning. Have you understood this concept?
Yes, sir.
Inflows needs to be predicted in advance, and cash budget is the tool which is used for this kind of cash plan. So we'll
Yes,
be
sir.
seeing a cash budget. We'll be solving questions also how cash budgets are prepared. So you'll be able to understand what is cash. Right now, second strategy is managing the cash flows. Here, what will happen? How will we be managing the cash flow? Cash flows, when you talk about the cash flows, it involves both the things inflows as well as
Outflows.
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 So, normally, how to manage inflows, we need to accelerate. We should ensure that inflows should come as early as possible. We need
Yes,
to
sir.
accelerate the inflows, is it not?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
outflows should be decelerated.
Yes, sir.
So, normally, every business house want that outflows should be delayed. Delay means to the extent it is permissible, right? Let us say you have purchased something, credit period is 45 days. Then in 45 days you should be able to pay. You need not pay immediately. But since there is a credit period of 45 days, within that days, maybe on 45th day you would like to make payment because you want to decelerate the outflows you are planning to delay.
Yes, sir.
Right? This is about managing cash flows.
Cash flows.
Third strategy is that optimum cash level. So we'll be seeing various kinds of models, right? With the help of those models, we'll be able to find out what should be the ideal level of cash level. What should be the ideal cash level? How much cash one business should ideally maintain? Okay, because if you keep excess cash, it will involve a cost. Is it not? There is a cost of
Yes,
idle
sir.
cash. And if you keep less cash, there is a danger of shortage. It may affect my business, right? It may affect the
Yes, sir.
smooth flow of the production activities. So therefore, we need to decide what is the optimum cash level.
Yes, sir.
So for this thing, we'll be using some models, and for cash planning, we'll be using cash budgets.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Then also one of the strategies is that taking decision about investing surplus cash. If you know there is a surplus cash, so that should be invested in a most profitable manner. So we have to, at that point of time, we have to see what are the various options available with us. Whether that surplus cash we would like to keep in bank deposits or in marketable securities, which you can liquidate at any point of time, or maybe in intercorporate lending that money can be lended to somebody else. So, like this, various options we need to evaluate, and we have to think of how to invest the surplus cash. Okay, so these are the four strategies which are used in cash management activities. Are you getting up to this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, these are three essential elements for a successful cash management strategy. We need to understand what are these elements. The successful cash management strategies we have seen that depends upon realistic cash forecasting. If you are able to forecast your cash inflows and outflow on a realistic basis, then naturally your planning will be more efficient. And speeding up the collection. If you are able to speed up your collections, that will also bring success in your cash management strategy. And spreading out the payments. The payments needs to be spreaded in such a way that it will not create any pressure on the management. So payments can be spreaded and collections can be speeded up,
Speeded.
right? So through this, if we are successful in doing all these things, then our cash management strategy may be more successful. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now coming to this cash planning aspect, which is the first strategy we have seen. So this deals with the various techniques to plan and control the use of cash. Here what happens, if you do proper cash planning, it protects the financial conditions of the farm, because beforehand you will be able to know what is the cash inflow, what is the cash outflow, what is the cash balance, whether financial health will be good or bad, you will be able to understand by saying that no. Okay, by saying that budget, which is used as a tool for cash planning, so we will be able to assess the financial health of the future financial health of the organization. It may be done periodically, either daily, weekly, or monthly basis. It depends, right? So
Yes, sir.
when the business operation grows, it becomes inevitable to have a cash planning budget. So we should have a suitable cash budget for that. And the very beginning stage to prepare a cash budget on in this direction of cash planning is to estimate the requirement of the cash. How much cash is required, how much is available, we should be able to estimate that. For this purpose, cash budget will be helpful. To do any kind of cash planning, cash budget is a tool, that is the first tool, wherein we will be able to estimate what are the future cash inflows and what are the future cash outflows.
Outflow.
Okay, understood?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And this cash budget is the most significant device to plan and control cash receipts. By seeing that, we will be able to plan as well as control the receipts as well as the payments. It
Yes, sir.
represents the cash requirements for the business during the budget period. Okay, and
Yes, sir.
it will also show you the what is the net cash inflow. Basically, what budget happens in a columnar manner. We show that in every month, what is the opening balance, what is the inflow, what is the outflow, what is the closing balance. Right? By seeing the closing balance, we will be able to find it out. What is the surplus? If there is some surplus or there is some deficit.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So by using the cash flow, we'll be seeing that cash budget shortly. Okay. When we'll be practically, I'll be showing you, we'll be solving the question. So cash budget helps to find out what is the cash position. It helps to utilize the funds in a better way. That is, these are the uses of cash budget. And the purpose of cash budget is to coordinate the timing of cash needs. Suppose in this month we find there is excess cash, another month there is a shortage of cash. So we can manage, we can delay some projects so that this shortage and excesses can be matched. So
Yes.
timing of various cash flows can be coordinated through cash budget. Through cash budget only we'll be able to know where there is excess and where there is shortage of funds, and pinpoint the periods when there is likely to be excess cash. If you are preparing the cash budget, we can find out the period. Suppose we can find out this in the month of August, September, October, there will be excess cash. In the month of November, December, January, there will be shortage of cash. So we can coordinate the activities in such a way that overall it can be managed, right? And cash
Yes,
budget
sir.
will also help us to take advantages of cash discount. Cash discount is some suppliers give this discount if you make prompt payment to them. So if you're having surplus cash, so you can make use of this cash discount facilities. And also one more purpose of cash budget is to plan or arrange adequately the needed fund. The moment we know fund is needed or will be needed, so we should be able to plan and arrange that fund. So cash budget will be helping us for managing all
Yes,
this thing. Okay. So
yes,
how
sir.
to make cash budget? There are several steps are involved. First of all, we need to select the period which is to be covered in the budget, whether we are going to prepare it for 6 months or 3 months or 4 months or 1 year or 5 years. We need to select that period. Then we'll having certain. Then we need to have. Then we need to select certain factors which are having bearing on this cash flows. We need to know what is the operating cash flow, what is the financing cash flow. From operational activities, what kind of cash inflows, outflows will be there. From financial activities, what kind of cash inflows, outflows will be there. We need to estimate so that it will help us in preparing the cash flow. This particular picture, are you seeing this picture now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This picture shows by seeing the cash uh, budget how you'll able to analyze when there will be shortage or deficit, right? And you see in the horizontal axis, this see these are written. Can you tell me what are these things? JFM,
January, February, March,
January,
April.
February, March, April, May, June. These are in fact various months. Okay, various months we are preparing budget, and this budget final figures are put in a line chart. You can see where there is. You can say this is our cash. This is zero. Zero means there is no cash. Okay. So in different months, different level of cash amounts are there. It goes off, then it goes down. Sometimes it is becoming negative. Sometimes it's again after that again it is picking up. Okay. So this I am saying in the cash balance. This is the cash balance which is maintained. This should be the cash balance you can say. Okay. And this is the surplus cash.
Yes.
So the moment you are finding in this period means let us say you can say for mid February to maybe June end. Mid
Hmm.
February to June end,
Yes,
you can
sir.
say there will be excess cash flow because you are predicting that lot of cash inflows will be there. After that, cash inflows will be reducing. After that, sometimes it is going below zero also. Okay, and this part you see, this part is the expected level of cash. After that is going to below zero means then you have to find out finance for that, how to arrange that
Yes,
money.
sir.
Okay, so you might be having your bank overdraft limit so that you can withdraw money, you can use their overdraft facility because there will be any need because your cash outflow is more than inflow, consequently net flow is negative. So some arrangement has to be made for this. Okay, so always
Yes, sir.
cash flow fluctuates, sometimes it goes up, sometimes it comes down. So if you can month wise you can prepare inflow, outflow, net flow, then we can draw a graph like this. We have to find out which ones we need, in which ones we will be having surplus cash which needs to be invested, and in which ones we need to deficit cash. Okay, maybe here
Yes, sir.
this is deficit cash. There will be cash deficit in the month of from July to mid October,
October.
right? October there will be
Yes.
deficit of cash, but this period there will be surplus of cash. If you can coordinate these activities, then there is a possibility that overall there will neither be any surplus, there will not be any deficit. So all these
Yes,
things,
sir.
once the cash budget is prepared, you'll be able to take decision on this. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, now coming to preparation of the cash budget. Preparation of the cash budget, there are in fact three methods of preparation of the cash budget. One is, you can say, the receipt and payment method. On the will be able to estimate various kinds of receipts and payments, and we'll be preparing a cash budget. I'll be showing you that in subsequent classes. Then adjusted income method, by adjusting the income, by adjusting the sales, we'll be able to compute. We will able to prepare a cash budget. Then one more method is also there. Then adjusted balance sheet method. By adjusting the balance sheet figures also, we'll be able to compute this cash budget. Okay. And what we will be doing, all these methods we'll be learning and also solving the questions in a same class. Therefore, uh, considering the availability of the time, so I am purposefully skipping that part. What I'll be doing now, instead today I'll be teaching you this cash management models. Right. Cash budget preparation, we'll be keeping it for another. We're keeping it for one more class. Right.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Now coming to cash management model, as we have discussed right now, these models will be helping us to arrive at what should be the ideal cash level. How much should be, how much cash we should keep. What should be the level of cash. Okay. The
Yes, sir.
first model, in fact, two models I'll be covering now. One first model is called as, this is popularly called as the Baumol's model. It is developed by William J. Baumol in the year 1952. He has developed. Okay, so this is something similar to this inventory model. You must have, in costing you have studied EOQ,
Yes, sir.
economic ordering quantity you have studied.
Order quantity. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. Economic ordering quantity of inventory. How much inventory needs, stock needs to be ordered, right? So by using the
Yes,
similar
sir.
model, same almost similar model, same model will be using in cash management also. This same model can be used for cash as well as for inventory models also. This is popularly called as the Baumol's model. Okay, this photo is Mr. William J. Baumol's photograph. You can have a look at that. And this model has got certain assumptions. First assumption is that farm is able to forecast its cash requirements with certainty. So there should be certainty about the future cash requirement. The farm should be able to forecast how much cash will be needed and how much cash it is going to receive on regular intervals. Farm is expected to receive a specific amount at regular intervals. This is one
Yes, sir.
assumption. Second assumption is that the farm's cash payment occur uniformly over a period of time. That is, there is a steady flow of cash outflow. Right? Cash outflow is not that means there is no huge fluctuation in cash outflow. In fact, there is a steady pattern of cash out. Third assumption is that the opportunity cost of holding cash is known. We know what is the cash holding cost or carrying cost. In inventory model, we call it as carrying cost, cash holding cost, and it does not change over time. It is constant. That means carrying cost is constant. Okay, and the farm will occur the same transaction. Farm will occur the same transaction cost whenever it converts securities into cash. When we need cash, so we'll be converting our market securities into cash. Is it not? Because we'll be needing cash. So the transaction cost for that thing is fixed. That is also constant. That does not change. Transaction cost is constant. Carrying cost is also constant. And farm is able to forecast its cash outputs. And cash payments are also uniform. So these are the four assumptions Mr. Baumol has taken to prove his theory. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now this theory suggests this formula. So the formula, you must be familiar with this formula. In cost accounting, we have studied it, similar kind of formula. It says C is equal to whole root over 2U into P divided by S, where C is the optimum cash balance. That means C is the cash balance we should maintain. What is U? U is the total cash needed during the period. It may be a month, it may be a year. Okay,
Yes, sir.
this U
Yes, sir.
is the total cash needed. P is the holding cost per transaction. P is the holding cost or carrying cost, and S is the opportunity cost of holding cash balance. Okay, S is the opportunity cost of holding cash balance. This is the holding cost. This is in fact P is the transaction cost. Okay, holding cost for transaction
Sir.
P is the transaction cost.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so by using this formula, then what will happen? We will be arriving at what is the cash flow level which should be met. And normally what happens? Let us say this graph will be seeing how the cash moves. Right. Suppose we'll start. This is the cash balance. So when you keep on spending, because since you are spending a fixed amount every time, so because of this particular horizontal axis is the timeline. So cash will be coming down, is it not? Every day, as the time passes, your cash balance will go down, is it not?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Is
sir.
it down? The moment it is becoming zero, immediately what you will be doing, you'll be selling your marketable securities and you'll cash will be coming in and it will reach at this level. Then again cash balance will go down over a period of time since just spending uniformly. Then again when it reaches zero, you'll be selling some marketable securities. Again cash balance will pick up, it will reach here. Then it will again go down. So this will be the pattern of cash flow. If this is the pattern of cash flow, so sometimes you are maintaining this balance, sometimes you are maintaining zero. So on an average, you are maintaining this balance. Okay.
Yes, sir.
सर हम कैश जीरो होने तक वेट करेंगे तभी जाके मार्केट सिक्योरिटी बेचकर कैश लाएंगे
If marketable
मतलब
securities are something which are readily convertible, immediately you can convert it into cash.
सर जीरो होने से
So
पहले
your
हम
point is that we'll be learning that also that other models also will be dealing with that. So practically, if you don't want to wait till this point of time because you feel it may take some time to realize cash, then you may
यस
keep
सर
a safety stock. You may keep a safety stock of cash.
यस सर
Okay,
ओके सर
right. But if you
यस सर
feel it is readily realizable in the cash, the moment it is zero, immediately I can convert it. Then there is nothing wrong in waiting for that much of time because in a second you are able to convert it. No, your marketable security it can be readily convertible into cash. Then it doesn't matter. You can wait till cash reaches zero.
यस सर
All right. Suppose you are the cash manager. What you will be doing? And you know you can immediately convert it. Then you may wish that okay, I will wait till it reaches zero. Is it not? But if you feel it will take some time, then you have to take some precaution. Then you have to maintain a safety stock. Safety stock of cash needs to be maintained in that point of in those situations. Is it not?
यस सर
Okay. Now the Baumol's model is developed by analyzing various kinds of costs. Now let us say in this horizontal axis, what I have taken
Optimum cash balance.
optimum cash balance. That means how much cash balance I should keep, whether it is zero or more than that, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And this particular says if I keep more balance, so if I keep more balance means what? Number of transactions will be less. Frequently, I don't have to withdraw money. Frequently, I don't have to sell my securities. Is it done? If I keep more balance, then my number of transactions will be less. So consequently, my transaction cost will be coming down.
Less.
More cash balance means transaction cost will be coming down. Is it not?
Yes.
यस सर
But more cash balance also means my opportunity cost will go up because more balance I'm maintaining, more idle funds,
यस सर
opportunity cost will go up. So these are the two costs involved. One is transaction cost, second one is opportunity cost. How to arrive at the optimal level of cash balance? I have to take both the costs together. If I take both the costs together, transaction cost on the top of it, opportunity cost, I am getting a total cost line.
यस सर
Total cost line, it is like this. And where the total cost line is minimum, here you see total cost line at this point is minimum. So that should be my optimum cash balance. Okay,
यस सर
Yes, sir.
that should be my optimum cash balance. Okay. Now, this formula we have seen,
Yes, sir.
root over 2u into py. Yes. Would you like to solve a question? Your pen, paper are ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us solve a question using Baumol's model quickly. Okay, ready? Now, can you read this question?
A farm maintains a separate account for cash disbursement. The total disbursement are 1,05,000 per month or 12,60,000 per year.
Yeah.
For
Then,
transaction cost of transferring cash disbursement account is 20 rupees per transfer. Marketable securities yield 8% per annum. Determine the cash balance according to William Baumol.
okay. So, how much cash balance is to be kept? That is the question. And you have seen the annual requirement is how much?
12,60,000.
Little louder, please.
12 lakh
12
60
lakhs.
thousand.
12,60,000. Okay, this marketable securities yield is 8% per annum. That means what?
Return on investment rate is 8%.
Yeah, you can say that is the opportunity cost. That means if you invest that money, you will be getting 8%. Okay, return on investment will be 8%. Right?
Yes,
Okay. Now, what is the transaction cost? Administration and transaction cost of transferring disbursement
20
is
rupees.
rupees 2.
20
20
rupees.
rupees per transfer.
By using this thing, I am showing you this formula. Can you put this formula and give me the answer?
Yes, sir.
Once again I am showing you this is the formula. U is the total cash needed. P is the holding cost per transaction, or you can say carrying cost per transaction cost, and S is the
Opportunity.
opportunity cost of holding cash. S, you know, it is given to you, and to hold a particular transaction, what is the cost that data is also given to you. Are you able to put the figures in the formula correctly?
Yes, sir.
You see now these figures are right.
Yes, sir.
You have to take care. 8% means 0.08,
Yes, sir.
right? What is your answer?
Yes.
Are you able to arrive at the answer? This should be the answer. Okay. Are you all still computing? Just check the answer.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Is it coming?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So this model suggests this is how we can do it. Now quickly we'll be covering this model also today. At least this model part we'll be covering. This is Miller and Orr model regarding cash management. Okay, and most firms, you know, do not use that cash flows uniformly. So it will be difficult for many firms to predict that what will be the cash outflows. The previous model we have seen, we are assuming that there is a fixed pattern of outflow, but practically this outflow may not be uniform. Right. So this model addresses this Miller and Orr model addresses that kind of situation. This model allows the cash balance to fluctuate between the upper limit and the lower limit. We call it as the upper control limit. That means upper control line is there, and a lower control line is also there. So cash balances are allowed to fluctuate within that line. If it is below the lower line, then some management has to make to have additional cash, maybe by selling marketable securities. If it is above the upper line, then money needs to be invested to bring the cash balance down. So this model provides this kind of two control limits, and within that control limits, cash balance is allowed to fluctuate as a random. So you see in this graph, this is the upper limit. Are you seeing it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And you see this line is, what is this
Lower
line?
limit.
Lower limit. And randomly cash balances are allowed to fluctuate within two limits. Cash balance will fluctuate.
Yes, sir.
The moment it reaches here, then it may cross. So what you will do? You will purchase securities. You will purchase securities in such a way that cash balance will be less. Cash balance is less and cash balance will come to this point, what is called as a return point.
Yes, sir.
Return point. Okay.
Yes.
It is goes down also, you will allow it to go down. Doesn't matter. But it touches lower limit, then immediately will sell securities
Sir.
to bring the cash balance to return point.
Yes, sir.
That means within these two lines, upper lines and lower lines, you're allowing the cash balance to move freely at a random.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there are two control points. The moment it reaches here, purchase securities. The moment it reaches here, then what you will do?
Sell
Sell
Sale of
security.
securities.
securities.
Sell securities. Okay,
Yes, sir.
this model
Yes, sir.
suggests like this. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
And
sir.
ideally, this model also suggests you see the gap between these two things, upper point and lower point, upper limit and return point, is two times than
Yes,
the
sir.
gap between lower limit and
Lower
the return points.
point.
Total in this model is total this gap, that lower limit and upper limit, is called as 3Z, and it is divided into two parts. The lower
Yes, sir.
portion is 1Z, upper portion is 2Z.
Yes, sir.
Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this was one more model. Okay, so this model deals with 2 points, upper points and lower points and the return points. And this model also we need factors like interest rate, what are the transaction cost, what is the standard deviation, that is fluctuations. We need to have an idea about all these things. Then only we can apply these kind of models. So friends, we'll stop here today uh, with this understanding of various kinds of models, these two models. Next class, we'll again pick up with cash budgeting, how cash budgets will be prepared. Just I will show you these are the various methods of the budget. At this stage, I will be just showing you how cash budgets looks like. You can see it here that various months opening balance are written. Then these are various sources of receipts. Okay, these are various sources of receipts. Then total receipts. Then these receipts are prepared. Okay, then these are the payments. Then final
Yes, sir.
total be total payments. Then what is the closing balance? 1 month's closing balance will become opening balance in the next month.
Next one.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
then receipts, then payments, then closing balance. This is how cash budgets will be prepared. This problem will be solving in your next class. I'm just showing you how cash budget looks like. You see, this is how cash budget looks like. You can see in the top receipts,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Opening balance, then these are the items, then payments, these are the items. Then finally, if there is some surplus, there will be temporary investment. If there will be some deficit, there will be liquidation. Okay, and you see the closing balance will become opening balance in the next one.
Yes, sir.
This is how
Yes,
a
sir.
cash budget looks.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think you got a fair idea now. Thank you very much. If you have any query, then ask me right now. Any query you have,
No, sir.
No, sir.
then we'll catch up in your next class. We'll cover the other parts of the treasury management. After finishing this cash management, we'll go to inventory management and all. Okay. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.